Welcome to Voices of the Community, which explores critical issues facing Northern California communities. We introduce you to the voices of community thought leaders and change makers who are working on solutions that face our fellow individual community members, neighborhoods, cities, and our region. This is George Koster, your host. For our October 2021 one-hour special show, we co-produced with the American Marketing Association's San Francisco chapter a panel discussion with small businesses and marketing experts on how to leverage digital marketing, e-commerce, social media, and community engagement to support small businesses and nonprofits during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and economic recovery.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gerardo Garcia Jurado, and I am the president of the American Marketing Association San Francisco chapter. We have an amazing event for you today, marketing workshop for small businesses and micro enterprises. But before we start, I want to tell you a little more about the American Marketing Association. Our mission is to be a community and provide a forum dedicated to connecting Bay Area marketers with new ideas, forward-thinking people, and professional opportunities to help us all grow in our careers and further our personal development. Also, we're always looking for talented and enthusiastic professionals to volunteer with the American Marketing Association. There are many different ways to do it and many reasons to do it too. Give back to the community, meet, work, and learn from interesting people. Expand your skills and your resume. Be known in the Bay Area marketing community. My favorite one is to have fun. So you can learn more by visiting our website, amasf.org, or by sending us an email to info@amasf.org. So we are very excited to be here. George created a new radio and podcast series examining how nonprofit organizations in San Francisco are managing challenges brought on by this pandemic. Here at the AMA San Francisco are very proud to partner today with him in supporting our great community. George, thank you very much for being here today, and please take it away.
Thank you, Gerardo, and welcome everyone to our panel discussion on digital marketing and e-commerce for small businesses. Before we get started, I wanted to just provide a little context of why we co-created this event with the team from the AMA SF chapter. I've been doing this show with Eric, our associate producers in the background, for the last 19 months. We've produced about 83 episodes now, and it's really been focused on COVID-19's impact on small businesses, nonprofits, and our local governments. So according to the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce's Economic Recovery Data Dashboard, as of June 2021, only 48% of businesses are open from the city of San Francisco's March 16th, 2020 COVID-19 mandated shutdown. And additionally, the same Economic Recovery Data Dashboard, which tracks our restaurant businesses, shows that seated diners are off by 57.9% from March 23rd, 2020's 100%. And in May 2021, San Francisco State and City of San Francisco Office of Small Business came together to study how small businesses have survived or attempted to survive. And they found that small businesses have pivoted to alternative business models, such as online sales, 30%, curbside pickup, 24%, and home delivery, 19%. So with these depressing and interesting data points, we wanted to bring together three wonderful small business experts and two very insightful marketing experts to share what has worked, what hasn't, and answer your questions on how to achieve marketing success for your small business or micro enterprise. So let's meet our panel. I'm going to ask each panelist to introduce themselves and provide a brief overview of their businesses. Let's start with Pooja.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you to George and AMA for having me on the show. I am Pooja Rajani Farwell, and I am the Director of Programs for Into Action. Into Action is a San Francisco-based nonprofit with a mission to engage, empower, and inspire action to promote equitable growth, build resilient communities, and achieve transformative social good. We achieve this by empowering Black, Indigenous, and people of color small businesses through programs that provide hands-on technical assistance, support around digital marketing skills. We recently launched the Sell Black program, which is a 12-week program that is designed to help Black-owned businesses launch an e-commerce platform for their own business. We're passionate about the work that we do, the communities that we serve, and advocating for the needs. And we're really happy and excited to be with an amazing panel of entrepreneurs and experts in the field. Thanks, George.
Thank you, Pooja. And I'm going to start next with Michelle.
Hi, my name is Michelle Pisateri, and I'm the founder of Nana Joe's Granola. We built out a manufacturing facility in 2012 in the Dogpatch neighborhood, and we're still here. We expanded last year and just rocking and rolling, making granola and granola bars, certified gluten-free, certified organic, and just working really hard to support our employees and to support our community. That's our story. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michelle. And next up, our panelist, Kristin.
Hi, I'm Kristin Houk. I'm the owner of 3 Bayview-based restaurants, Tato, Cafe Alma, and All Good Pizza. My restaurants are kind of function as much as community anchors as they do as restaurants. I'm really involved in the Bayview community. I'm the board chair for an organization called EDOT, which is an economic development organization located in the Bayview Hunters Point community. I'm a resident here as well. I've been here for about 22 years. So I'm really passionate about the neighborhood and passionate, obviously, about small business and food and hospitality. So love working with you, George. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kristin. I'm going to turn to our marketing experts and first start with Rebecca.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rebecca Bertoldi. I'm a digital marketer. I actually spent 5 beautiful years in the Bay Area, and I got to work with the Marketing Association. And if anybody is thinking about maybe volunteering or joining, I highly recommend. But I focus on helping small businesses to really find opportunities to connect with customers. And a perfect example, this past year, I did a lot of helping people get their businesses online. So I'm excited to share a lot of tips with you tonight.
Thank you, Rebecca. And our next marketing expert is Valerie.
My name is Valerie Camarda. I own a company called Marketing Sense. I've been doing this for about 25 years and working with small business and nonprofits. And my customers told me what they needed from me. I have to tell you, I came from corporate marketing, and my small business clients said, Valerie, we need you to help us write a business plan. We need a marketing plan. We need you to show us how to do it. So that's what I do. And I've been a long time member of the AMA and have been on their board 3 different times. And I can tell you, it's a great opportunity to learn skills and to meet great people. So I encourage you to join.
Thank you, Valerie. All right, so I'm going to ask all of our panelists to turn on their videos. And I just figured I would set it up a little bit with having our small business experts describe one story as an example of how they've been working in e-commerce and digital marketing, especially over this last 19 months, to first and foremost, to try to stay alive. Second, to secure some more business. So I'll start with Kristin first to just give us an example of some of the goals in building out. Now we have 3 restaurants that you started?
Yeah, I actually started Tato about 1.5 years before the pandemic, and I started Cafe Alma in November of 19, so very shortly before the pandemic. Both of those businesses have really taken the brunt more so than All Good Pizza. All Good Pizza was naturally set up for something like this because I've got exclusively outdoor seating, which is obviously very rare in San Francisco. But with Cafe Alma and with Tato, those are both very different models and required like complete rethinking. So as far as like using digital marketing throughout the pandemic, obviously I rely on the standard like Facebook and Instagram. But what really happened in the case of my businesses was having to do what I consider to be like community marketing. And that's really getting the word out through people that support the business here in the community. At Cafe Alma, I actually turned that into a food bank. During the early part of the pandemic, for about 8 months, I did a food bank there in collaboration with the San Francisco African American Faith-Based Coalition, and also with a couple of other groups that aimed to support other small endeavors throughout the community. So for me, my marketing has really been old school in that it's been a lot of like word of mouth and working with people within the community who are working on similar type projects.
Thank you. And Pooja, I want to come to you because you work with lots of entrepreneurs, and you and Andrea came together to create the Bayview Bistro, which is like this food incubator. So could you share with the audience a little bit about the why of it, but a story, for example, of a marketing effort that you guys have tried that has either worked or not worked?
Yeah, thanks, George. So in 2019, Andrea Baker, who's the CEO and executive director of Into Action, our team started Baby Bistro. And it was actually a community hub located in Baby Hunters Point with the idea of activating this space. So it was primarily a vacant lot. And we were trying to activate it with food entrepreneurs, really tiny, small businesses that didn't necessarily have the resources to start a brick and mortar. But we wanted to give them an opportunity to test their product and build an audience. And we launched Baby Bistro. It was a nice little space and a hub for people to get together, grab some food. We had music on certain days and programming. And COVID happened. And for a while, we had to close the physical location. And we really wanted to still support these businesses because I think COVID-19 impacted every single business. And I think COVID-19 has impacted everyone. And so we really wanted to support these businesses who are part of the Baby Bistro program. And so in May of 2020, we launched the Baby Bistro box, which was a curated box sold on an e-commerce platform. And people could order their boxes online and pick them up and or have them delivered. And what we found was that people were purchasing the boxes, sales were increasing, and people really wanted to support these businesses. And I think a couple of things that really helped was that because of COVID-19 and also just in 2020, there was an awakening and a movement to support Black-owned businesses. And our model for Baby Bistro was to support BIPOC and primarily Black-owned businesses. So we started to see that our sales were increasing, people really wanted to support, and we were really having the community and people just be very supportive of these boxes. And so we leveraged that momentum to build an online community through social media, word of mouth advertising, and newsletter marketing. And I think all of this has helped. And the reality is that once we went online, once we had this digital platform, the customers came from all over the city. It wasn't just like hyper local. And so based on all of these learnings, we realized that businesses needed to have an online platform to sell their products. And many of the African American businesses that we serve have limited website. They lack an e-commerce, and they have lack of access and opportunities to being able to put their products online. And website development marketing can be cost prohibitive for many businesses. And the financial impact of the digital divide experienced by BIPOC-owned businesses sort of got exacerbated in COVID-19. So digital marketing has really become the way that businesses engage with consumers. And so from all of these learnings, we recently launched the Sell Black program, which is a program that was funded by the Dream Keepers Initiative and Office of Economic and Workforce Development in the city of San Francisco. And we are working with 52 Black-owned businesses to help them build an e-commerce platform. And so through the program and through the workshops, we're helping businesses gain awareness of all of the different digital marketing platforms that they can use. We've highlighted Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, like talking about that. But what we've really learned is that digital newsletters are one of the most effective ways that people can engage their customers. Email newsletters, which use programs like MailChimp, are extremely helpful for business owners as they're able to see things like open and click rates and also like really engage with consumers. And we find that if people really support you, they open your emails. And so we're sharing all of these tools with our businesses, and hopefully it is impacting them, and we're making it easier for them to adapt their strategies based on just the consumer behavior, because we know that online is a new way, and I don't think it's going to go away for a while.
Thank you, Pooja. Those are really great examples. I'm going to turn to Michelle next. And Michelle's unique in that she's what the city of San Francisco has been truly working on for years with San Francisco Made, and that is to become a maker, but a food maker. So Michelle, share with us a brief story, if you will, on your marketing efforts to start a granola company.
I think our granola company pretty much has grown by word of mouth organically. We haven't had a marketing person. We just hired somebody on in the last month, which has been pretty amazing. But we started in 2010 and we haven't had any marketing. So our growth has been all organic and really reaching out, talking to the communities, doing the farmers markets. My friends call me a fierce networker because I go to every event that I'm invited to. I feel like I get connections, and I got a lot of really good customer base at the beginning by handing out free samples at events. During the pandemic, when it hit, I basically hit the panic button because I was down in Southern California at Expo West, the big food show, and people had already set up everything. And that Sunday is when they stopped the food show. So I drove back to San Francisco as fast as I could. And that next morning, I talked to my team and I was like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? And I went online. And I did a 10-minute kind of message to everybody online. And I was like, listen, here's our choice. If we want small business to succeed and to last through this pandemic and the close down and the shutdown, we need to support small businesses. Who do you want to see standing at the end of this pandemic? And I think I got 400 to 500 orders in just that one day, just from that one reach out. People were telling their friends, people were ordering their friends granola. It truly helped us. And it really got me thinking about how loyal our customers are and how loyal the people who buy Nana Joe's granola are to us and how much people really listen online. A lot of times I'm like, there's only 50 likes on the thing. But then people come up to me all the time. Oh, we saw your post. We know what you're doing. And I'm like, why didn't you like it? That kind of thing. I think through social media and through that reach out and through our email, because we reached out in email as well, we hit our database with 3 or 4 emails about what we were doing, how everything was going, how we were supporting our employees. And that was the biggest thing too, is during that, our employees got so much tighter and our team got closer because we had to rely on each other to A, get to work, and B, to stay safe. And that was like the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people started ordering from all over the country, and we were able to fill the grocery store shelves as fast as we could. And we worked as many hours as we could because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So since we produce and we don't have a co-packer, we manufacture in San Francisco, we were able to make as much granola as was being ordered, which was super important to us. And it's the reason why we survived last year. And the reason why we're surviving this year is because we're able to meet demand with our online orders, with launching in Amazon during the pandemic. We went FBA instead of FBM, which means that it's fulfilled by Amazon and not fulfilled by us, which boosts your sales, puts you on Prime. So there was a lot of stuff that we did, but the biggest thing that really made the impact was that first reach out right when it started. Like right before the city shut down, I was like, y'all, who do you want to see standing? Do you want to see corporate America standing, or do you want to see your mom and pop grocery store or restaurant or a pizza place? There's so many important answers in that question. This is going to change everything. And it is. With the supply demand right now, with the supply chain breaks, it's going to ruin a lot of small businesses. And I think that's really sad. But I think if we support each other and we support our local businesses as much as we can, I think that's where it lies. That's where the answer is.
Thank you, Michelle. Great examples. So the next part of this exercise is really to have both Valerie and Rebecca share what they have viewed as common problems or issues for small businesses and micro enterprises. And when we say micro enterprises, I think for most people, kind of a common metaphor would be the proverbial mom and pop business. So I'm going to turn to Valerie first, especially with your work with SBDC, which you can unpack yet another acronym. So Valerie, take it away.
So through my work with the SBDC, and what that stands for is Small Business Development Center, and it is part of a national organization. In most big cities, you will find an SBDC. So they offer free services, free advisory services to small business owners if you're located in that city. So I would encourage you, if you're looking for some free, the most powerful word in any language, services, I would encourage you to go to sfsbdc.org and sign up and answer some questions, and then you'll get a call and get some help that you need. The type of help is not just marketing help. It's help with finances, bookkeeping, digital marketing, social media. So we have a whole cadre of different services we offer free. So one of my examples of business that was able to succeed during the pandemic is Biordi Art Imports. They were one of my clients, and maybe you've seen them. They are on the corner of Vallejo and Columbus in North Beach. This has been a family-owned business for many years, a couple of different generations. And the new owners, Deborah and Michael Baldini, bought the store from one of the previous owners, and they modernized it. They brought it to the 21st century. prior to that, the store was totally relying on location. You knew where Bjordy's was. He did no digital marketing. He didn't have a website. He didn't advertise. So these new owners took it upon themselves to build a website, create a database based on sales they'd made to customers from afar. And they were closed for at least 6 months. And I'm happy to say that they have turned the business around, and really the word we're hearing a lot of is pivoted their business to be an online business as well. Now the store is open again. They're getting foot traffic and whatnot from tourists and San Francisco residents. But the big deal was creating that database. And I would say that is one of the problems that we encounter a lot with small businesses is they don't have a database. So how do you create a database? Make them sign up when they come in, offer them something free or raffle, or we have many techniques to get people to sign up. And yes, they have to opt in to receive your emails, okay? I get a lot of resistance from my clients saying, oh, my customers don't want yet another email from me. And I beg to differ. Yes, they do. When you have a sale, when you have a new offering, new products, etc. Yes, they do. So we can go into what email marketing is all about, but don't think that you're inundating your customers. They want to hear from you. If they've signed up, they want to hear from you because they like your product, they like your service, and they want to support you. And that's one of the other things I want to bring up. Getting the support from your neighbors, from your neighborhood, from your residents in the area is key to your success as well, because you get a lot of referrals, they come in and buy, and you're giving back to the community. So Bjordy's has done an incredible job. And in fact, I spoke to Deborah recently. She said, Valerie, we're having one of the best years ever.
Thank you, Valerie. Good example. I'm going to come to you, Rebecca, next, because you've spent a lot of time working your way through e-commerce land and digital marketing. So what are some of the common pitfalls, if you will, that you see small businesses falling into in the process of trying to use e-commerce as well as digital marketing to drive sales?
Some of the big things I see is that people are really not understanding their audience. And that is a huge component to marketing anything. They want to hear your story. We have a whole different generation of shoppers now. They want to hear what matters to you. And Michelle had a perfect example of that. She got on and she said, I believe in small business. And we all believe in small business, but we don't actually see it until somebody like Michelle pointed out that they're not going to be here if you don't utilize them. So there's a lot of ways that we can really look at our customers and get a better insight with them and how they're shopping. And I hear a lot of times with small businesses that they don't want to deal with that digital stuff. Like I hear that, and that is a mistake. We definitely need to make sure that we are embracing digital. We are embracing the change that's happening right now, and we can make the best of it. So I recommend that you really take a look at your customers and see where they are online. I know some people will maybe set up a Facebook profile because they're comfortable on Facebook, but is that where your customers are? Now, granted, there's a ton of customers on Facebook, so your odds are pretty good there. But if you have a younger audience, that may not be the place for you. So really look at who your buyers are and look at where they are in the buyer's journey. So I have a great story to share. It's not a sexy client, but it's a septic client. And he was doing phone book ads forever. And he was so reliant on them. And then when they stopped printing phone books, he didn't know what to do with himself. So he tried some online things through the phone book people, and it was getting him nowhere. And he was spending too much money a month, and it just wasn't working. So we took a look at it. And with septic, when you have septic backing up outside, this isn't a time to wait and shop around, and your yard stinks. So we set up call ads for Google for him. So when people were in distress, in that need, in that moment, they saw his ad, they click, and it calls him. I can't even tell you. We started with $50 a month budget, and now he's spending like between $300 and $400. He hasn't had a day off in months. And he actually got to a point where he said, is there any way you can make it so I don't show up first on Google? I said, absolutely not. Am I going to do that? So there's great ways to connect with your audience when you know how they're thinking and how they're going to be buying from you. And it doesn't always have to break the bank.
Thank you. Love the septic story. I'm going to turn back to our three small businesses here and some of the things that you have tried that haven't worked. And then in trying that, what are the things that you discovered that you've been able to utilize? Kristin?
Well, much like Michelle, we haven't done a lot of marketing. I've been at All the Pizza for 10 years. I've done very little like paid marketing. I've done a couple of things early on, like with the Chronicle or with, I think it was the Guardian back then even, but we're so community centric. And so much of what we do isn't just food. It's really about supporting the neighborhood. Michelle, I think during the pandemic, I have a little piece of your success because all I ate was granola. It's all about knowing these like small businesses that you love and that you want to support, and All Good Pizza and Tato and Alma for that matter are not different. It's really about connecting with your community and knowing the people around you that want you to survive and in turn supporting those other small businesses. So for me, I haven't really ventured so deeply into a lot of marketing campaigns or formal marketing. So much of my business has been word of mouth and been through connections of other business associations or organizations that I'm a part of. But I do recognize like the need for the digital component and really putting yourself out there and being a part of the world as it is ever changing. My son is going to be 16 soon, and he knows more than I'll ever know about the digital world. But I can see through his experience and through a backed up sewer for my son would take 10 seconds to resolve. For me, I'd be like, okay, how do I do this? But I'm in a kitchen all day long. I'm very rarely on a computer. I've always worked in a kitchen. I've been in a kitchen for almost 30 years. So I have enough experience where I can familiarize myself with that, but it just has not been my forte to be really seeking out like the digital world. But yeah, as far as what has worked and what hasn't worked, for me, it's really all been about the community connection. But I'm excited to explore other options and definitely throughout the pandemic, realize the need for really opening yourself to a new audience as well.
Thank you. And Pooja, you work with so many entrepreneurs and you see them struggle, of course. And I think what the pandemic has really shown is the digital have and have nots. And so much of business requires some form of digital presence. So what are some of the things that you and your team have struggled with or tried that didn't work? And what are some of the lessons that you learned?
That's such a good question because every business is so different. I think we all know that you have X, Y, and Z things that you can do and implement, but understanding and really sitting down with these businesses and I think knowing what their product is and telling them that, okay, this is your product. So I think maybe you should be doing X instead of Y. I think there was an article that just came about in New York Times about how Instagram is having a really hard time getting teenagers to be on their platform. So I think really reading, staying on top of the news and sharing that information with them, like Kristin and like Michelle, a lot of the small businesses that we work with really depend on word of mouth and building that community. So really telling them, using your community, using your first people, like the people that really supported you all the way to, and support them and incentivize them. Hey, you get $5 off your next granola. I just made granola because Michelle, you're here and I love your granola. Or come back. We offer like a community like marketplace that Kristin's been doing, but just like really working with them and saying that these are some things that your peers have used and sharing that learned experiences with them. I think has been something that we are all learning and collaborating on. I think photography is essential. And so we're really working with these businesses to like get good photography because so many of your products, like people eat with their eyes. So that is something we're hearing a lot about. The need is good photography, as well as also helping them like understand that website process is not a one and done thing. You have to continually update it and that takes time. So entrepreneurs don't have time because like Kristin and like Michelle, you're doing a million things, but telling them that this is important, just spend a few minutes or you can maybe get volunteers to help you to do it is impactful.
Thank you. And Michelle, I know you guys have worked on photography. You've tried Amazon ads. What are some of the things that have worked based on your trial and error of things that haven't worked?
I think one of the things that has worked based on our error is, I think Rebecca was mentioning know your audience. And so we started doing target email campaigns. So we would target different people for what they ordered, or we targeted the people that hadn't ordered in a while. And we got serious ROI on that. So we got some really good return on our email marketing in that way. One thing that hasn't worked for us, because again, I don't really think we know our audience. We know our audience in the area and through farmers markets, but outside of our bubble, we really don't know our audience and what they want. And I think what appeals to them in an ad for them to click on it to buy our product, Google ads did not work at all for us. It was like I was driving out in the street throwing hundos out the window. It just did not work for us. That was one of the things that I learned with that one is we have to really start getting to know our audience. And the new marketing person that I just hired, who's wonderful, we just started talking today about what do we want to do? Like, how do we want to present ourselves? We're not old fashioned granola because it's new granola. We're kind of talking about that and how we can do targeted ads with that in mind, and then doing A/B ads. So seeing what works and what doesn't. We've been doing some of that with our emails as well. Who's clicking on what? And who's clicking on our text messaging. We got a lot of people to click on our text messaging through one picture, but not the other. And why? It's all a mystery, I think. And it's fun to try and figure out now, but it's not fun when money's really tight and you need that income to give you ROI and ROAS.
Thank you. Good examples. Valerie, turning back to you, one of the questions that came in from the audience was, what are some of the appropriate kinds of content that one could use in digital newsletters?
Recently, I've worked with several of my clients on creating newsletters, and it's having timely information that the customer can use. So when we talk about new product introduction, we talk about a sale or a promotion, we talk about a new store opening. So these news items, but think about who your customer is. And it goes back to what Rebecca said. And I find this so true with a lot of my clients. They don't know who their customer is. And I've taught marketing to entrepreneurs and say, okay, who's your target market? Can you tell me? And I want demographic and psychographic information. Okay. But I'm marketing to the world. No, you're not. Segmented marketing works. So break down your various target markets and customize your newsletters to meet their needs. The most compelling thing about emails is if you've sent them a couple of emails and they haven't kicked you out of the box, think about your subject line. It should be 50 characters or less. What is a compelling subject line? What's going to make them open? Think about when you see an email come into your inbox, what do they see? They see the name of the company or your name, and then they see the subject line. And instantaneously, they make that decision. Am I going to open this email and read it? And you've got 5 seconds to convert them to open that email. So you want to look at your analytics for your emails. And if you're not doing a good job with open rates and click-through rates, rethink your email strategy. So again, topical. One of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs don't do, and I'd like to go into more depth, George, about what they don't do that they should do, is market research. And there are ways to do market research. Primary research is research you do yourself for your specific business. And that's things like intercepts, surveying of who you think your target markets are. And I say, stay away from your family and friends because they're going to tell you what you want to hear. So find people that you think fit your demographic profile of target market and ask them a survey question or put together a survey. The other thing they don't do is they don't do secondary research. Secondary research is going to the library, doing research online, and really seeing what's what. There is a directory of associations, and they're trade associations. So there's one for food companies, there's one for restaurants, there's one for marketing. So you want to tap into those associations because they are fountains of knowledge. Their websites have great information. They have newsletters or magazines or publications that you can tap into and become a member. So you're getting the latest and greatest. Retailers have a great retail association. In fact, I get their newsletter. Think about those things that are not being done because you got to make the time. And we're still in COVID. We're still in the pandemic. Now's the time to push back a little bit, step aside and think, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And for all those things that you're doing wrong, let's find a fix.
Thank you, Valerie. And turning to you, Rebecca, I wanted to have you walk the audience through some of the things that you've been working on with some of your clients. I loved your idea of partnering with nonprofits. Also, what I think everyone is working on, what we're doing today, which is to go live on platforms. And now that we're heading into the Thanksgiving holiday, also the other piece of that puzzle, I think for most people listening or watching, is that Apple has updated their OS with 15, and 15 has lots of privacy, which has really shut down a lot of digital marketing because of privacy. So could you just spend a few moments and tell us from your perspective, what are some of the common pitfalls that you've seen and some of the new rules and regulations that you've been training on over the last couple of weeks to work with Apple?
So there's a ton that goes into digital marketing. I'm not going to lie, but there's ways that we can make our efforts go a little further. And we want to always go with our low hanging fruit. So we never, like Valerie said, we never want to be targeting everyone. If you're targeting everyone, you're targeting no one. If you think about messaging, would you talk to a 25-year-old the same that you would talk to a 55-year-old? Absolutely not. So everybody's motivated differently, and depending on where they are in their life and depending on what your product is, we need to look at the problems that it solves, and not just on an external level. We need to see what it's solving on an internal level as well. So it could be like you want to get a new job, and it would be nice to have a new job, but the reality is inside you want to make sure you have enough money for bills, for your family, and all of that. So we take action based on those internal problems. So if we can really dial that in, and again, this is all about getting to know your customer, having the email list can be your best friend for that. So on platforms like Facebook and Google and a bunch of other ones, you can actually upload your customer list and tell the platform to find people just like those customers. And it will go through and it's going to create this profile. And everybody could have stuff in common that we're not even aware of. They may all like to golf or something. It will find people that look just like your customers, and you can run ads to them. When you're building up for Black Friday, though, all of your efforts right now want to be building that list. Because once Black Friday comes around, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you want to make sure that you're retargeting that whole list. You don't want to be doing any cold outreach, no cold ads going out, no cold emails. This is all about re-engaging people that have already shown interest in your brand and getting the most that you can out of that event. So when we're looking at marketing those things, we want to look at the platforms that we're marketing on, and we want to play to their strengths. So for Facebook, for example, and actually most any of the platforms, going live, they love going live. And everybody is trying to compete a bit with YouTube and have people watching videos on their platform. So sometimes a longer video will actually go pretty far for you as well, like 3 minutes plus. Like I know Facebook was promoting more recently videos that were over 3 minutes, because the longer people are on Facebook, the more ads they can be served. And we want to make sure that what we're doing is really transporting people into your store. So you think about when you're going into a store and you're going shopping, you can pick up a product, you can feel it, you can smell it. All of your senses are getting involved here. How can you recreate that for people online? You want them to feel like they're having that same experience and feel confident in their purchase. So when you're trying to get the word out, especially on a budget, teaming up with nonprofits, they have wonderfully big lists most of the time. So team up with those nonprofits. You can offer something like from Cyber Monday to Friday, or from Giving Tuesday to Friday, that you are going to have a portion of your proceeds going towards a cause that you care about. Again, people want to know that you actually care about the people in this world, especially all the millennials out there. They really want to know that you're behind causes. And I think our biggest shopping group at this point. So we want to make sure that we are really engaging with them and meeting people where they are. And we can take advantage of the list that the nonprofits have them share what you're doing, and because they want you to donate, of course, as well. You can also team up with other businesses that complement you. So let's say if you sell suits, team up with a dry cleaner, and you can cross-promote each other. And this gives you access now to another business's email list. Not necessarily you don't want to take it from them, but they can promote you in their email list. Be careful about sharing lists, because California's got some privacy laws that we don't want to break. And if we're really getting things ready, your Google business listing, which is when somebody types in your business and that little panel comes up on the right side of your screen, or if it comes up on your phone on Google Maps, those are your Google business listings. They are free and they can really drive a ton of traffic to you. And I actually just found out today in a Google training, this is brand new to me, that you can now put your products in those listings if you have them in Google's Merchant Center. So people can see you on the map and click to buy your product right there. They're making it easier and easier, and these are all free tools that we can use. So take advantage of them.
Becca, just staying with you for a few moments more, you would also mention another really good tool, a social media scheduler. At the core of all this, e-commerce is social media. Love it or hate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We do try to be everywhere at once, and that can be very time consuming, but there are schedulers out there. Buffer is one of my favorites because I feel like it seamlessly integrates with a lot of different platforms. and it'll automatically post to Instagram for you, which is exciting. But you get these schedulers and you can create all of your posts for the week in one shot, and it's done. You don't have to worry about it. You want to make sure that you are using technology whenever possible, because that's what's going to help you save time on that. Another quick tip there in the technology part is if you want to write some blogs or if you're wanting to write newsletters, but I know for me, the writing, I'm always editing and it can take me forever. So I do videos. You can do videos, you can transcribe them and create multiple pieces of content just from one video. Repurpose your content whenever possible so that you're not reinventing the wheel every time you're putting something out.
Great. I'm going to turn back to Kristin. And really, for all three of our business experts, I know all of you view business as both a social enterprise as well as just business. So that whole model or idea for our listening audience and our participants today, working with nonprofits and small business. Can you walk us through, Kristin, some of the things that you've done? Because in our past conversations, one of the unique parts of what you've done, especially at All Good, was it's really a community center versus just a place to get a pizza.
So a lot of my associations with different nonprofits, I've been in the nonprofit world in San Francisco. I used to run an organization that helped women start small businesses, primarily in Guatemala and Chiapas, Mexico. But many of them were food producers or artisans. So I was connected to the nonprofit world, but a lot of it just really honestly came from my personal passion. So like I mentioned earlier, I've been a resident of Bayview Hunters Point for over 20 years. And I just really love this community a lot. I felt like there were a lot of unique organizations that were working to preserve the diversity and the integrity of the community. And it was important to me when I moved here to be really involved in the neighborhood. And one of the things after being here for a few years that I noticed was there wasn't a lot of like public gathering space in this community. So when I sought out to start this restaurant, I knew that it had to have some component of community place, essentially. And that's why I ended up in an abandoned parking lot of all things. But it really did allow me the opportunity to build this really unique spot where other nonprofits in the community and other organizations, I work with schools. We do a lot of support for different schools in the area. I work with other San Francisco-based organizations. We've got a big open space where people can gather. And it's really been, a mission of that business to offer that space to people and to be a community hub in many ways, not even related to the food. I work with other restaurants. I'm really active with other restaurants in the neighborhood for them to sell their food from my location. So again, it's networking and it's really mutual support of other businesses and trying to find ways for people to connect in that way.
Thank you. Good example.
Something real quick to that?
Sure. Please go ahead.
I think that people forget that these small businesses, we're the ones that are sponsoring your sports teams, that are helping with school things, fundraisers, that are giving back to the community all the time. And those things really do stand out. And it's because we're proud of our community, but definitely use it to your advantage in your marketing because you are the ones that are making a difference. So make sure you're using it.
Good one. So Michelle, I know from our prior interview, one of the most important parts of your business was also taking care of your employees. So during the pandemic, obviously a lot of small businesses struggle with trying to keep employees. So can you share a little bit about your model of both community and employees?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So during the pandemic, when it hit, we did give everybody raises just because I knew that just from talking to each one of them separately, that they were the only ones in their families that were working. And a lot of them couldn't reach out to get financial help from anybody and were scared to try and get financial help. So we gave them raises, paid overtime, but also made sure that they got to work. So we did carpools during it and just made sure that they were taken care of. And that was the biggest thing. I do the Ferry Plaza Farmers Market, the San Mateo Farmers Market, and we were buying produce for everybody. We were bringing back lettuce and avocados and whatever we could from the farmers market. Also to support the farmers who didn't have the restaurants to sell their stuff that they already grew because they had orders from Impars from last year and the year before that. And they had no idea that the pandemic was going to hit and they'd be stuck with all of this food that they had no idea what to do with. So in that way, I was like, okay, I'm going to get everybody CSA boxes and try and support in that way. And I think that was really pivotal in bringing our team together too and making sure that everybody was taken care of. And then in turn, everybody started asking, can I do anything for you and your family? And it just became like more of a community here than it's ever been. As far as like community outreach, we just did a really fun granola collaboration. I do chef's blends. And
We just did one with the Boys and Girls Club, and it was so fun. So Happy Moose Juice had started this program with the Willie Mays Clubhouse in Hunters Point, and they had created a smoothie called Hella Berry Smoothie. And part of 20% of the profits of that goes back to the Willie Mays Clubhouse. And each person involved in that program gets paid $200. I think that's the most that they can get paid in that clubhouse. So we made a granola called Hella Bay Crunch. And every Tuesday at 3:00, I'd get online with the youth and we would talk about what they wanted in a granola. I sent them a bunch of samples. It was during COVID, so I still have not met any of the youth, but it was really empowering and super fun to be able to teach them how it is to take an idea in your head, like granola or like a restaurant or anything, and really bring it into fruition. What does that all take? So we taught them marketing. We taught them how to approach a buyer. And I think that was really cool. And then 2 of them were like, I want to be an entrepreneur. Now I know how to do it. Yeah, we can help you and give you some of the resources to do that as well. So I think that was really cool. And we're still selling it. It's awesome. It tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but healthier and gluten-free. But that's one of the ways. And then also another way that I sat on the SF Made board. I sat on the board for 2.5 years as a manufacturer to have that voice of actually, here's what manufacturers think and here's what we need, and being able to drive that conversation back to how can SF Made support us. And I think that's super cool. So yeah, we really appreciate SF Made. I really love them. They're amazing. So yeah, so that's our story and that's how we've supported the community. And I always say community before profit. We don't step on anybody's toes or push anybody down to try and get up and ahead. We bring everybody along with us.
Thank you. And Pooja, turning to you, you and Andrea were a for-profit, and then you guys did a proverbial reverse merger. You merged into a nonprofit. So share with us a little bit about that, but also I know you and Andrea have worked for a long time inside the whole Southeast community of San Francisco to bring together business and nonprofits.
Thanks, George. So yeah, before Into Action was founded from the for-profit Andrea Baker Consulting. It was a lot of the work that Andrea Baker Consulting did was focused around community outreach and doing community engagement and community events and placemaking. And so just to increase the impact, again, as you said, we launched the nonprofit Into Action. And a lot of the work that we did involved doing community events, neighborhood marketplaces that focused hyperlocal businesses, and also showcased entrepreneurs and put together like people, artists, and products together to create a sense of community as well as give a sense of there's something happening in the neighborhood. And I think the pandemic, if anything, has only showcased how important open spaces and community and people are, and collaboration is so important. And so I think we have continued that work by continuing to do like community events. I know events were shut down for COVID, but I think people are now starting to do more community marketplaces. During the pandemic for Baby Bistro, the Baby Bistro boxes we donated, a lot of the consumers would say, hey, like, we don't want the box, but they would purchase the box and we would give it to the community member or like a family in need. So we also did that part of the pandemic. And then a lot of our programs are centered around connecting businesses with resources and supporting their needs in the neighborhood, as well as like with the city and with, I think, SBDC, just connecting them. So I think we've continued that work. We're trying to provide opportunities for these small businesses to connect with people, to build an audience, grow their business, learn what the community needs, and really thrive.
Thank you. Wonderful examples, Michelle and Kristin and Pooja. We have a question from the audience, which I'm going to direct to you, Valerie, because I think it also ties back into both your expertise and work with Renaissance Center and also the SBDC. And so one of the questions was, as a small business, do I need to hire a professional marketing person? And if I couldn't really afford that, what are some of the resources on a DIY basis?
If I were a small business starting up right now, I would avail myself of the free services that are readily available through the SBDC, but also through Ren Center. I was an instructor for the business planning class for a couple of years, teaching the marketing section. And they charge $250 for a 10-week business planning class at Renaissance. And it's time well spent. It really makes you think about what's my business? Who's my audience? What are my sales projections? How am I going to deliver my product or service? So it makes you think about all these things. And I can tell you, a lot of entrepreneurs just want to jump right into it and not think about the minutia. But the minutia is so important. I would go to Renaissance. I check into their programs. Their website address is REN Center.org. Okay. They have free webinars as well. And you should definitely go to sbdc.org as well, because they have lots of free webinars as well. So, for example, they're giving a webinar on pitch decks, intro to pitch decks. What do you need a pitch deck for? You need a pitch deck if you're looking for money and need investors, okay? You need to know how to do that, how to present yourself to the public in a one-on-one. So that would be informative. We have all kinds of financial resources, loans, grant programs. So let's say you're located down in San Mateo County. Guess what? You can apply for a $2,500 grant through Ren Center. So check it out. So investigate these free services before you hire professionals like me and Rebecca. We're happy to take your money. But I say go through the process of working with an advisor. Learn how to work with a consultant. And there's some slight nuances between a consultant, a coach, guidance. So at Ren Center and at SBDC, we teach you how to do it. We don't do it for you. So when you hire professionals, do it for you. So it all depends upon your resources, your time, and your inclination. Do you love to write? So many people don't like to write. So building that content for your social media, for your email campaigns, for your website. Maybe that's when you hire a professional if you don't like it. And your messaging should be consistent from one platform to another. So think about that. What other resources are there? Remember, the library is a great resource that we don't often use anymore. So I would encourage you maybe not to physically go to the library, but they have wonderful online resources as well. So the point I want to make throughout this whole program is do your homework before you spend any money on your new business. Check out competition. Even though we don't want to necessarily compete per se, like Michelle is saying, you need to know what they're doing. How can you differentiate your product and service and make it worthwhile and make people want it? And I have a great example of a coffee shop that opened, spent a ton of money opening and renovating this property that is not his, and he's not succeeding. And there had been 3 other coffee shops prior to his coming on board in that neighborhood that all failed. Why didn't he do his research and figure out why did those other coffee shops fail? Yeah, there was no other coffee shop at the time that he was looking, but they failed. So he's failing too. So maybe it's just not the right place for a coffee shop. So remember the old adage, location, it matters if you have a retail store.
Great insight. And I think back to your idea of before you do a pitch deck, you actually need to have a business plan, which includes a marketing plan before you start to ask for money. Same question for you, Rebecca. And for everybody listening and watching and participating today, we will be sending out with the video recording of this list to a wonderful resource page that Rebecca and Valerie put together. I will add to it. And then I'm sure Pooja and Michelle and Kristin might have some really great suggestions as well. The whole goal here is to provide lots of resources. So Rebecca?
So there's a lot of great sites out there that have online courses that you can purchase, especially if you can't afford to hire a marketer just yet. For me, like I have a Marketer's Insider Club so that you'll know when Apple's going to release something that's going to completely make Facebook stop tracking everything that you're doing. Things like that we definitely need to know. For this year, we know there's going to be a huge shipping issue, and we don't know that people are going to get their gifts on time. So I've encouraged all my clients to promote holiday shopping now so that there's enough time to get it to them so that it's still a good user experience. We always want to consider stuff like that. HubSpot is actually a great resource for people that are brand new to any of the platforms. They do a wonderful job of really explaining what the platform does, how to come up with great plans, and it'll get you to that next level. And then you can come and hire Valerie and myself, of course. But it's a lot of wonderful information. They bring you through it just like a course, and there's a ton of information that you can get from them. And then there's, of course, a gazillion YouTubers out there that are showing you how to actually do these things. So if you're looking to set up Facebook ads, I know there's got to be at least 1 million videos that show you how to set up your account, your settings for success, and everything like that. So follow some people. You want to make sure that you like their teaching style, that it's not, there's some people out there that I've seen that are very distracting because of the things that they do. For me, it's not my cup of tea, but it could be yours. Find somebody that you like the way they teach, that you find to be easy to understand, and see what content they're putting out there. All of us marketers are giving away information for free on things like this, or in blogs, or in video tutorials, anything like that. The majority of us are trying to help. And then you have organizations like the AMA, where you can come to the San Francisco chapter or any chapter near you and attend these events and see how marketers are planning for the next thing that's coming up and how they're approaching it. You can definitely learn a lot from those as well.
Thank you. And so I want to, this next piece, before we go into our final question, just ask Michelle or Kristin or Pooja if you have any questions that I haven't asked Rebecca or Valerie that you would love to know or were always wondering about in marketing or e-commerce.
I'd like to just add one more thing. And on my resource, I have all of these listed out. When you're thinking about your Black Friday marketing or any of your holiday marketing this year, one of the things that we love about Amazon is that we can order it and it shows up the next day. There's a lot of conveniences out there that we can actually offer to customers. So maybe it's curbside pickup. Maybe it's gift wrapping. Maybe you can get a delivery person for the holiday season that won't break the bank. Maybe someone's kid wants to do it. You can have those people in your world take advantage of the situation and help your customers to have a better experience in shopping with you and make it easy. You can also do things like package some products together, so it'll have a higher perceived value, but it could be a quick grab and go for your teachers or for delivery drivers or whoever it is that you want to give a little gift to, but you're like, what do I get that person? It's there, it's ready to go, and it's easy. Make it easy for them to shop.
In staying with you, Rebecca, I thought one of a couple of your really good ideas from our prior conversation were curbside gift wrapping, custom gift guide, and delivery. Can you expand a little bit on those?
Yeah. So if the curbside, a lot of people are doing that now, but keep it going for shopping as well. We know that people want the convenience. They can just stop there after work, pick it up, and go home. But you can also offer, and this is where your email list is going to come in again, create a gift guide for them. Let them see what you have and give them ideas on who they can give it to. It's so easy to tell people how you want them to shop with you. And you, believe it or not, it makes a huge difference because we are served like at least 10,000 ads a day on a regular Tuesday. When you get into the holiday season, that's going to double at least, especially with everything being online. So we want to stand out. And if you have that direct line to their email box, you're getting past all this noise online and you're saying, okay, here's what I can offer you and here's how I'm making it easy for you, and see how many people come, because they already believe in your product, because otherwise they wouldn't be on your mailing list, and you're just making it that much easier to get their shopping done. Who doesn't want that?
Thank you. And Valerie, any last suggestions, recommendations?
Yes, I want to jump off of what Rebecca said. Make it easy for your customer to do business with you. Having vignettes, if you have a retail store and a window to display in, create vignettes and have price points, $25 or less, $50 or more, whatever. And who hates to shop? Who hates to shop? Men. Make it easy for those male customers to shop with you, okay? So this is the time of year when you should be planning for what you're going to be doing next year. So yes, you have to get through the Christmas season or holiday season, but you also need to think, what am I going to hit the ground running with in January? So think about timeliness, think about seasonality. What else is going on in the macro environment that you need to be paying attention to that you can jump on? What's top of mind right now? What are you hearing in news stories? Play off of that, and it will help increase the memory of your product and service.
Oh, really great nuggets there for everybody. And to turn to the final question for everyone, and this is a question I've been asking for the last 19 months in all of our interviews, and that is, everyone heard me read some of the statistics of literally only 46 businesses still coming back in San Francisco. We've been in this pandemic. So what would be some of the positive things that you could see coming out of the pandemic and our economic, now it's coming back, relatively to support your organizations and programs and the clients that you serve. So I'm going to start with Pooja.
I was hoping you wouldn't start with me first, but
That's why I did.
So I think I had mentioned it. The COVID-19 pandemic really highlighted the differences and the disadvantages that Black-owned and basically BIPOC businesses face. And there's been a sort of general awakening to support these businesses. So I think that has definitely been something that has been pivotal as well as instrumental in the work that we are doing. And we are seeing a greater need to support these businesses as well as a greater resilience, right, in this community and programs being developed to support these businesses. So I think just continuing to work, we're working with these businesses, we're working to highlight them and their products. I think what everybody can do is support local businesses, because I think we all know that your community, your neighborhood, your local businesses really need you. And they are really the ones that, as we all know, support your community during a pandemic through all. Yeah, I think it's been one good thing.
Thank you. And Michelle, what are some of the good things you could see coming out of our proverbial economic resurgence, allegedly?
I think one of the good things that has come from the pandemic and everything happened for me personally is just really focusing on making my business matter more in the community and making sure that I'm taking care of the people that work for me a lot more. It made me a much better leader, and it gave me more purpose on how to support my community and the surrounding areas. I think another good thing that is going to come from it, it's going to be tough, but I think we're really going to see a crumble of the supply chain. And that's not a good thing, no, because I just actually purchased $40,000 worth of oats so I could secure them, because there's not going to be any in a couple of months. So that's not the good part about it. But I think we're really going to our eyes are going to open to that food has grown, and we're not used to thinking about where our food comes from. We're not used to thinking about how it gets to us. And I think with the supply chain break, I think it's going to open up a lot of eyes on food, on how we nourish ourselves and how we feed ourselves. And I think that's really going to be pivotal, and how we feed our families and how we feed each other in the community. Like, where is all that food waste going to? And I think that's something that is going to be good that comes out of it. I also think another thing that's going to be good to come out of all of this wildness and pain and suffering and death is that we really start to appreciate each other more and slow down a little bit and not look at business as like, how many stores are you in? But how sustainable is your business? How do you support your employees? Quantifying a business over that instead of quantifying a business over how many heads did you have to step on the way up? And how did you get to that place? I think that's really important. And backing up a little bit and not throwing a lot of money away, and really holding on to your money as a business owner and making sure that it's going to the right places and not just spending it on huge amounts of trade spends and marketing. So I love marketing, not like that, but a lot of the trade spends is really wild for business owners in the CPG world. Some businesses blow through $1 million a month and just trade spend and free product and giveaways and free fills and grocery store promotions. A lot of people don't realize those grocery store promotions we pay for. Like when you get your granola at $2 cheaper at Whole Foods isn't paying for that. I am. So I think that that's something that's good that's going to come out of it, is we're really going to start to open up our eyes to that. Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe that's just a dream.
It's a wonderful daydream.
Yeah.
And Kristin?
Yeah, I just very much agree with what Michelle and Pooja have shared. It's all about being local, and it's not just buying local. It's like supporting local. It's looking at your team. I love what you shared, Michelle, about your team. It's so great to see other business owners who really invest in the people that make their businesses run. I couldn't do anything without my team. And many of the people that are a part of my team, I've been with for over 20 years. So I just think it's so critically important in these moments. Like at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was just like, we didn't know what was going on. We were all grasping to understand it. And I think really looking inward and looking at like the people that support your business, whether that be your customers or your employees, really taking care of them and really finding ways to localize your efforts. And Michelle said so many great things, like the supply chain is something I haven't been able to get pizza boxes for weeks. And so much of my business obviously is dependent on putting a pizza in a box to go. As these supply chains, I think it's something that we a lot of times took for granted in years past. And so really understanding who's making those boxes, where are they coming from, what companies are supporting people to make that product. I think as much as we can look into each component of our businesses in those ways and try to be as local as possible. I think now more than ever is the time to do that and to really look inward.
Thank you.
It's almost like when we had the, local businesses were making their own hand sanitizers because people were running short, right? Like we had in the Bayview, I know Seven Steels, I think was making I think Kristin, they were making their own hand sanitizer. So yeah, the whole supply chain is interesting and hopefully we can appreciate and also build a good collaboration with other businesses to support each other.
And Valerie, what are some of the good things that you could see coming out of the pandemic and the economy?
What I said before is use this time for planning, plan for the future. But I want to jump on the bandwagon of localization. I have a client called Mission Blue over in Visitation Valley that only buys from local artisans. They're a gift shop. They're not going to have a supply chain problem come this Christmas. Think that through. I think Buy USA may be one of the lessons we learned during this pandemic and supply chain horror. So that's my tip.
Thank you. It's a good one. Buy local. What a concept. So Rebecca, I'm going to finish off with you. We did have one final question that came in through the audience, and that is, do you have a particular recommendation for a platform for gathering addresses and sending out email newsletters to small businesses?
So it depends on the type of business. Sometimes for the majority of businesses, MailChimp will do pretty good. And the reason I recommend that is it's pretty user friendly, but it also connects to other platforms. Like it connects to the back end of Facebook ads. So if you do a lead form on Facebook, it'll go right into your CRM there. And then sometimes for the e-commerce businesses, Klaviyo can be better for that. And then as far as what I hope comes out of the pandemic, and in my experience, this is already happening. I have seen a tremendous amount of support from other business owners coming together and not being so competitive. And I really feel like, because being a business owner can be really lonely sometimes. Our families don't understand the struggles that we go through. And they're like, yeah, you'll do it. But another business owners, I know, this is how I solved that problem. Or they're able to give such better insight. This year, I learned about and joined an organization called the Polka Dot Powerhouse. And this is for women only. But I have connected with women all over the world who are killing it. And these are the women that we want to be when we grow up. And they are just so supportive. And I have a local chapter here in Connecticut. These ladies could not be more supportive or more on my side. And I know that they have my back every step of the way. And I know that if I ask for anything from the group, it comes in tenfold. So really having that support and being able to connect with people all around the world that I never would have connected with otherwise, because those channels weren't available or weren't as mainstream.
All really wonderful insights. We've run out of time, and I wanted to thank our panelists, Michelle from Nana Joe's Granola, Kristin from All Good Pizza, along with Tato and Cafe Alma, Pooja from Into Action, and Valerie from Marketing Sense, as well as Rebecca from Rebecca Bertoli Marketing Company for their participation in this highly informative panel discussion, as well as everyone's really great insights. We hope that you, the audience, have found one marketing or e-commerce tool that you can use for your business or nonprofit to help you create more sales or donations for the upcoming holiday season. We'll include a link to the resource guide with a link to the video recording for all of our participants. And you can listen to interviews with Pooja, Kristin, and Michelle on georgecoster.com. And then just click on the Voices of the Community link, and you can listen to all 83 of our episodes. Lots of really wonderful stories. So I'm going to turn it back to Geraldo and to close out our live show. Thanks everyone for participating today.
This was amazing. Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much, everybody else. I just want to say thank you also for the help of Irene Sanchez, who's part of our team, Eric Strada, which is part of yours, that he was driving the whole thing behind the curtains. And I just hope to see you and all our friends back in our next event. And thank you.
That's it for this 1 hour special show we co-produced with the American Marketing Association's San Francisco chapter on how to leverage digital marketing, e-commerce, social media, and community engagement to support small businesses and nonprofits during our ongoing pandemic and economic recovery. You've been listening to the voices of Michelle Pusateri of Nana Joe's Granola, Kristin Houk of All Good Pizza, Tato, and Cafe Alma, Pooja Rajani at Into Action, along with Valerie Camarada of Marketing Sense and Rebecca Bertoli from Rebecca Bertoli Marketing Company. We also want to thank Irene, Shruti, Luke, and Gerardo from the American Marketing Association San Francisco chapter for working with us to co-develop this wonderful panel discussion. Please go to ama.org to find out more about the AMA SF chapter and to get involved in supporting our community. Please tune in to KSFP 102.5 FM for next month's show on November 27th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and November 28th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., where we'll feature the voices from a panel of fundraising experts discussing how nonprofits can leverage the annual Mega Nonprofit Donation Day, Giving Tuesday. Also, please sign up for our newsletter at georgecoster.com so we can keep you in the loop and you can participate in the next virtual live panel show. We hope that you enjoyed the insights, points of view, and personal stories from the voices of changemakers and their nonprofits and small businesses featured in this series. To find out more and get engaged with the nonprofits, small businesses, and staff members featured in the series, please go to my website, georgecoster.com, and click on Voices of the Community to find links to the extended versions of these interviews and to listen to the entire series. After listening to these stories, we hope that you will consider making a donation and volunteering to provide a hand up to your fellow community members. I want to thank my associate producer, Eric Estrada, and Casey Nance at Citron Studios, along with the wonderful crew at the San Francisco Public Press and KSFP. Voices of the Community is a member of Intersection for the Arts, which allows us to offer you a tax deduction for your contributions. Please go to georgecoster.com and click on the donate link to make a donation to help us provide future shows just like this one. While you're on our website, you can enjoy our archived past shows, which feature community voices working on solutions to critical issues facing Northern California communities. And you can sign up for our newsletter to find out more about future shows, as well as shows and events from the organizations that are included in our episodes. Take us along on your next COVID walk by subscribing to Voices of the Community on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at George Coster, and we'd love to hear from you with feedback and show ideas, so send us an email to george@georgecoster.com. I'm George Coster in San Francisco, and thank you for listening.